Hello chaps and chaffettes. Yes, it's me, it's board games everybody should... ... Yeah. I've never considered myself a person to have green fingers. In fact, when I was a kid, I had green fingers because I used to eat grass. But now, I have a different lifestyle. I live in France, I have a garden, and I grow vegetables, and I love nature, and I love green. Green is my favorite color. And that's why I'm looking at this green box. I like green. In fact, you know, I bought Abyss with the green cover. Out of all the covers that there were, I wanted the green one. So yeah, this is Photosynthesis. I'm going to be reviewing Photosynthesis, not Abyss in this video, but Photosynthesis. In this game, players are gods, possibly, or Mother Nature themselves, and you each have your own race of trees, and you're trying to grow them in a forest. Ooh, this is cool. This is... shame it's not 3D. It'd be cool to have that 3D plan. Anyway, yeah, you're growing trees, and you're killing them to get points, which sounds a bit sadistic, but yeah, it's a tree growing game. What else can I say? Let me show you how it plays, and then I'll not give you one review, but I'll give you two reviews. I'll give you like a static, cold review and a very lively, kind of personal review. There you go. How do you feel about that? Let's have a look at how this game plays. You need to place the board into the middle of the table. You'll then need to take the sun tracker and place it in the corner marked with the sun. You'll then take the sun revolution tokens, of which you'll only need 3 for your first game, and place them on the sun. You'll then need to take the scoring tokens and sort them into piles of 1 leaf, 2 leaf, 3 leaf and 4 leaf, and within each pile they need to be numerically sorted so the highest values are on top and the lowest values are on the bottom. Players will then choose which colour type of tree they want to be. They'll take the player board of that colour, plus all the trees and seeds of that colour as well. You'll fill up the player board with the trees of the different types and the seeds, and you will find that there's no space for 4 of the small trees or 1 of the medium trees and 2 of the seeds. These are placed on the side in your reserve. Each player will get one of these light point trackers. You'll place this on your board on the position marked 0 as you have no energy. You'll choose your start player, and now you're ready to play. Commencing with the start player, they will take one of their small trees from their reserve and place it on the outer edge of the main board. Then all the other players in turn order will do the same. Once each player has placed 2 of their small trees on the outer border, the game will then start with the photosynthesis phase. In this phase, trees will collect sunlight and turn it into energy. Here is an example of how that works. Here I've advanced the game a little bit, just to show you some examples of how this phase works. Trees will collect energy points depending on their size. If they are small trees, they will collect 1 energy point. If they are medium-sized trees, they collect 2 energy points. And if they are large trees, they collect 3 energy points. But the only way to collect these points is to be in direct sunlight. So if I was to calculate the points for the orange player, I would start like this. The sun is at this angle here and the light is going this way, which means that this one little tree gets 1 point. This orange tree gets 1 point, and so does this one. Whereas this little tree gets no points, because it's hidden in the shadow of this large tree here. Trees that are in the shadow of other trees will not collect any sun energy unless they are taller than the tree in front of them. A small tree will cast a shadow of 1 space, a medium tree would cast a shadow of 2 spaces, and a large tree casts a shadow of 3 spaces. Any trees there, like this one, would not receive any energy points, whereas this other player's tree, it's in the clear and would receive 1 point. In regards to the medium tree here, which is hidden behind another medium tree, this orange tree would not receive any points. Whereas this large tree, which is behind a medium tree, will catch the sunlight and gain 3 points. So as it's set up here, the orange player would get 6 energy points. Whereas if the sun was to be around this side, the orange player would only have 5 points. 2 points from this medium tree here, and 3 points from the large tree there. Whereas the small tree here is hidden behind this small tree is hidden behind the medium tree, and again, this small tree is behind this large tree, and so is this one. Once all the players have calculated how much energy they're collecting this round, they add it to their energy track, and then in player order, starting with the first player, they will start spending that energy. And you'll be spending it on 3 different types of actions. You're either going to be making trees grow, you're either going to be planting seeds, or you're going to be buying items from your player board and placing them into your reserve. Let me start with buying an item from your player board and placing it into your reserve. There are 4 columns of items on your player board. There are the seeds, the small trees, the medium trees, and the large trees. Each of them has a different value marked next to them. You'll always be buying from the bottom of your board to the top, as you'll see the prices get more and more expensive as they go up and up. You pay the price in energy as indicated next to the element that you wish, and then place that item into your reserve. Now this is really important because it's a cycle of life thing. Items come from your player board and go into your reserve, and then you can use those items in your reserve to be placed onto the board, and anything which comes off of the board which is yours goes back into your player board. Planting a seed will always cost 1 energy. You'll need to have the seed in your reserve, and you'll need a tree on the board, and obviously there will be some trees on the board. Now the seed will only travel the distance depending on the height of the tree. So a small tree will only be able to place a seed in a space adjacent, whereas a medium tree will be able to place a seed 2 spaces away from that tree. And of course a large tree will have a longer range and obviously be able to place a seed 3 spaces away from it. Again, you can only use seeds which are in your reserve and not from your player board. Also, the tree which is planting the seed can no longer do any actions. It can't plant another seed and it can no longer grow. Making a tree grow is basically moving the tree from one stage of its life to the next. You'll start with the seed, and the seed will grow into a small tree, from a small tree to a medium tree, and then from a medium tree to a large tree. To grow a tree, you can choose any tree of yours on the board, even a seed, and then make it grow. To transform a seed into a small tree, it will cost 1 energy. To transform a small tree to a medium tree would cost 2 energy. And of course, to transform a medium tree into a large tree, it would cost 3 energy. You can also retire a tree and take it off the board, effectively killing it, but it would give you the victory points that you need, depending on the zone where it is. This retired tree needs to be a large tree, and it will cost you 4 energy to remove it, but you will gain victory points. So if the space has 3 leaves on it, you take a 3-leaf tile, the most uppermost and highest scoring one. Again, important rule is only trees from your reserve can go onto the board. You can't take trees off your player board. Another important rule to remember is that each space may only perform 1 action on your turn. So for example, this large tree here, if I was to chop that down to get the points from there, I could not then make this small tree plant a seed here. It would have to go here. Again, this small tree could either plant this seed, and then this seed would not be able to grow. This tree could grow, or it could have planted a seed like this one. Whenever you are removing a component of yours from the board, it will always go back to your player board in the highest most space. If there are no spaces available, you remove that piece from the game entirely and place it back into the box. Once all players have finished performing actions, the first player marker gets passed to the player on the left. Also, the sun track will move to the next corner on the left. You'll then do the photosynthesis phase, where you count up how many points of energy you've collected, and then you will perform actions starting with the first player. You will continue to keep doing this until the sun track arrives back at its starting position, and that's when you remove the top token to reveal the second token, which means that we are in the second round. After the third round and the sun track arrives back at its starting position, that is the end of the game. Players will count up the total amount of victory points that they have from tokens that they've won, and you'll also score victory points depending on how much energy you have left. If you look at your player board, you'll see a number just to the right of the energy. So let's say this player had 7 energy left at the end of the game, they would get 3 points. And they'd add that to their score. The player with the most points is the winner. So I'm going to start with my technical review. What are you getting for your money in this box? Well, you're getting a lot of cardboard, that's for sure. There's lots and lots of trees and lots of tokens, and they all fit into this insert kind of nicely. Some of the tokens just slide. I mean, it's basically there to hold the trees into place, but the tokens just go willy-nilly. It could have done it with a tiny bit more love put into the insert itself, but everything does fit in nicely. You have to jiggle it about to stop it getting crushed when you put the lid on and when you put the board on top, but everything fits nicely. The cardboard that they've used is very thick and sturdy for the trees, and even thicker for the player boards and the main board itself. Although mine doesn't sit flat, it does a good job still. The artwork is phenomenal. It's got this kind of cartoony artwork. In fact, I think the designer actually worked on a cartoon series before, you know, transplanting the art into this game, and it does look stunning, especially when you got the board set up. It looks lovely. The rule book, there's a lot of rule books, but the rule book is very well written. In fact, it's just kind of like that. There's perfect examples of how the game works. It's all laid out in a very simple to read manner, and there's also some variants which I haven't talked about, like adding a 4th round. If you're enjoying the game, add a 4th round, or you can make it harder by making you can't make trees grow if they are in the shadow. Now, great mechanics. This is simply a abstract game, but with the theme implanted on it, and I mean, it could have been wooden cubes or stacks of chips, and this game would still have this kind of good feel, but the organicness of the theme helps you learn the game a little bit quicker than just stacking chips or moving bits of wood around. The mechanics are solid, the mechanics work. As I said, the mechanics fit the theme perfectly, and that's what elevates this game so high. So, all in all, what you're getting for your money is a good chunk of stuff, and my technical score for this game is a very high 9.5 out of 10. So now to my personal review. Now, Photosynthesis is a board game that every abstract player should water and nurture, because this game will bring color to their lives. Yes, it is an abstract game at its core, and that's what kind of like drew me to the game, but it also the color green. I'm a big fan of color green, and it just appealed to me in that way. You know, abstract games have like this reputation of just being black and white bits and pieces on a board, and this has green pieces and yellow pieces and blue pieces, and it looks fantastic. It really pops when you're playing it. People walk past and go, "Ooh, what's that?" The game has a great tactile feel. You have these big 3D trees that you're just taking in and out, and it also has this visual feel. So like when you're doing the photosynthesis phase, you can just pop your head down at the corner of the table and have a look and go, yeah. But it is very simple to calculate and also gauge the height of trees and work out who's getting sun and light and who's not getting sunlight. The rules and mechanisms are very simple and very intuitive. It is about growing stuff, and it is very simple to play. Although there are complications when players play, they sometimes mix up what trees are going where, because you've got the two areas in front of you. You've got your player board and your reserve, and sometimes players will take components from their player board and add them to the board when they shouldn't do. They should be taking them from their reserve. There's this little confusion. Again, you know, players remove things from the board and put it into their reserve instead of back on their player board. It's just little things like that which kind of drag the game down a tad for me, where I have to keep correcting people. Again, I'm someone that's played this game quite a bit, and sometimes I do make that mistake myself. And you know, it's like, no, it doesn't go there, and it's like, if the player board had been a bit bigger and maybe had like a reserve zone with some arrows, so an arrow going from the one side to the reserve zone to the board, and from the board to the, you know, just to keep people refreshed. The game has a great strategic feel. You can like just put thousands of trees everywhere and just grow them slowly one by one and hopefully get lots of sunlight, or you could just like put a few trees and grow them really quickly. You can also, again, depending on where you want to build them as well, you know, you could concentrate on just going around the outsides and getting loads of small points, or going in the inside and getting the really big points. The game feels really, really well balanced in that regard. You can do any of those combinations of strategies to win. And again, you could be really nasty and just put trees up in places which is just going to block lots of line of sight for the other players, and keep that tree there and not actually score for it. Actually just get energy every round, 3 energy from that one tree, and not score any points. That's a viable strategy. Or you could just like grow them up and then chop them down. There's so many little complex layers, and it depends again on how the other players are playing, which is going to make your strategies change and adapt to them. So it has this deep strategy, but at the same time, it feels like chess. The beginning of the game is really dull and very boring. It's the same kind of like thing over and over again. Everyone's going to get like 2 energy, and then it's like, what do you do with that 2 energy? Do you buy seeds, or do you make your tree grow to the next level? Games that I've played have normally been pretty quick. It's normally the start player which kind of like holds up the beginning of the round each turn after the photosynthesis phase. They're like, okay, right, so what am I going to do with this energy now? I've calculated it. But once they've had their turn, everybody else has already thought out what they're going to do on their turn. And not many players' other actions are going to interfere with what your plans are going to be, because the board is quite open and large. Playing 3 or 4 players is the best way to play it. Playing 2 players feels very, very sparse and empty and dull. There should be some variants of 2-player games where you start with a few, NPC trees just started in various locations, and then they can kind of like block the light and cause shadow, which will alter your strategy, so to say. The game is a very calm game. You're not going to get stressed by playing it. You may get a little stressed that they've got more tokens than you, but that's about it. The game is very calm. It doesn't put any pressure on you. You're just like, okay, right, okay. You feel like a gardener. You're just like walking down the roads with your watering can, and you're singing to the plants and making them grow, and you go, oh, there's an apple. Ah, that's nice. So there's the aesthetic feel and the look of the game, and then there's the play itself. Really, really zen, really, really enjoyable game. I like this game. This game is my cup of tea. Although I will say that when I first played it, I loved it to bits. And my rating has gone down a bit from the first play, because the more you play it, the more, as I said, it feels kind of a bit like chess, where those starting moves are the same before the game starts to get interesting. So my final score, my Board Game Geek score for this game, is an 8.5 out of 10. So if I add and combine my 2 scores together, you're going to get a combined score of 9 out of 10. If my calculations are correct. So, there you have it, Photosynthesis. Is this a board game for you? Well, maybe this video has helped point you in the direction whether you should invest in this big box of trees or not. So I'll say now, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might be interested in this game, share this video with them. And if you want to find out what else I've been up to and what other games I've been playing, you can always go to BoardGamesEverybodyShould.com, or you can also help out with what I do here and go to my Patreon and donate a little bit of money there, and maybe get yourself some promos and some monthly prizes. That's at Patreon, Board Games Everybody Should. So all that remains for me to do is say ciao for now, and to please play nicely with each other.
Just sitting at